Many people ask, isn't Israel being disproportionate in the way it's attacking Gaza and Hamas? They quote numbers 1,000 here and 40,000 there. First of all, those numbers are not correct. But besides the fact, we could certainly understand there's going to be a lot more Gazans who were killed by Israel than Israelis who were killed by Hamas and the Gazans. And therefore they ask, isn't it disproportionate? We know a principle of proportionality is generally a principle when you punish someone, it's proportionate to the crime. You punish a criminal, it's proportionate to the crime. You won't give someone a death penalty who's speeding or something of that nature. And we see this as a principle in Judaism, in Torah. First, on the negative side, we're told that why were the Egyptians drowned in the sea? Because they drowned the Jewish people, the Jewish children they drowned, so Hashem drowned them in the sea. We're told, why was there the plague of the firstborn? Because when Moshe Rabbeinu came to Pharaoh, he says, listen, my people, the Jewish people, are the firstborn to God. If you do not let them go, I'm going to kill your firstborn. So there's a proportionality there. Similarly, we find another area of proportionality by the law of the Mitzorah, the leper. The law of the leper is that as long as he's not healed, he has to be outside the community and be alone. Why does he have to be alone? It's not true of any other impure person. He doesn't have to be alone, but the leper has to be alone. Why? Because the leprosy was a punishment for speaking Lashon Hara, speaking badly about other people, gossiping, and so on. And when you do that, you create discord. When you create discord, you create situations where the people are separated from each other. If you're going to speak against the husband to a wife or a partner or two good friends, now instead of being together, they're going to remain separate and alone. So the punishment, therefore, is for them to be alone. Now, this is not only limited in the area of good. This is also true in the area of bad. This is also true in the area of good. Like we see the idea of midah keneged midah in this week's Torah portion. Yosef alone, who was the leader, the viceroy in Egypt, he had many people who could work for him, yet he himself involved himself in the organizing and the transportation and the burial of his father, Yaakov. And so the Talmud tells us, being that Yosef was the greatest in Egypt, and he himself involved himself in the burial of Yaakov, so too when he passed on, who took Yosef's remains out of Egypt to Israel? It wasn't any Jew, it was Moshe Rabbeinu himself. It was the greatest Jew of the time. Moses is the one who involved himself in Yosef. Why? Measure for measure. Because Joseph was the one who was the greatest, involving himself in Jacob's burial, Moshe, the greatest of his time, involved himself in Joseph's burial, and then continuation of that is that Hashem himself involves himself in Moshe's burial. But you also find that when Miriam, the prophetess, has leprosy, the people wait until she's healed before they travel. So the Torah tells us, why did they wait? The reason they waited is because Miriam waited for Moses when he was put into the basket, into the Nile. She stood from afar to see what's going to happen, to see what she could do to help. It's because she waited when Moses was a little baby, so the entire Jewish nation waited for her. Well, taking all this into account, our question becomes maybe stronger. How come Israel is hitting disproportionately? And the answer is very simple. Because Israel isn't taking revenge. This is not a punishment. Israel is doing what it can to safeguard its people so that something like this can never happen again. And the only way to do that is to eradicate all the Hamas terrorists and to destroy the infrastructure they put in place that allowed them to do this act of terror. And so therefore Israel is not going to stop. There's no concept, no feeling, oh, we're taking revenge. This is not about revenge. This is about safeguarding the Jewish community and the Jewish people. And unfortunately, we're dealing with people who, it's not about punishment. If you don't fully eradicate them, they have said, and we have to believe what they're saying because they did exactly what they said. Their goal is to do October 7th again and again. The goal is to destroy and to hurt us. And so therefore, all we're doing is trying to safeguard and secure ourselves.